Hi guys, it's Tracy here from Cheeky Journals. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another junk journal with me. Today I'm documenting a memory that happened over a weekend, so I have quite a lot of things that I need to journal about. I have surrounded myself with some photos and ephemera that I collected on this weekend, but I've also gone into my supplies and I've taken out a few things that inspire me. Some of it is magazine clippings, mostly from, I would say, the Breathe magazine, and then I've also got some ephemera pieces, washi tape, stickers, and all those yummy things that I'm going to see what I want to use and where I want to use it. I've started off with using this floral and leaf border from the Breathe magazine that I've stuck in, and I'm busy now just sticking in a flyer that I got from a cafe where we had some lunch, or I think we actually had breakfast there if I remember correctly, and I'm just sticking it down with some washi tape as well. It's sort of like a decorative element, but it also keeps it down. And I'm also adding a number ticket that we got from ordering takeaway food. On the right hand side, I already have a fabric flip in there. This fabric flip was sewn in when I made this journal. I find it always easier when I want to do sewing to do it before I bind the journal. It's much easier putting a single paper through the sewing machine instead of trying to get your whole journal through it. So when I want to do sewing in my journal, I always try and do it prior to binding it. I have stuck in a photo and I've got this frame. I've had it for quite some time, so I'm just adding some extra glue to make sure that it sticks. It's got a sticky back and I think it would have been fine, but it's always just better to add glue, and then you know you don't have to worry about things coming off later, because I think that's the most irritating thing, having to page through a journal and seeing things coming off and then having to reapply glue or add extra glue later on. On this frame, I quite like it. On the one side, on the left, you've got the months, and then next to that, you've got the dates. So I've just circled the month and the date that photo was taken. I've also gone to my Maggie Home sticker sheet and I've just stuck a label under the photo. Getting back to the fabric flip, I've got this ephemera piece from Tim Holtz, and I've just sewn a border around it. I really love sewing, as you would know if you've been watching my videos, but it is difficult again to get that through the sewing machine and attaching it to the fabric. So this is a trick that I think we all know, is to just put it through your sewing machine and stick it on. You would never really know. I have also placed a paper under it. This is something that I've learned really quickly, is that fabric and glue work well together, but obviously the glue will seep through the fabric and very often it will stick to your page in your journal, and then you won't be able to lift that fabric flip anymore. So when I remember, I always place a scrap paper beneath that so that it can catch up most of the glue, and then I'll just remove the paper later on. You don't have to leave it there for too long, just a minute or so would be fine. I am now busy sewing on a charm on some sari silk. I want to add a few extra bits and pieces on this fabric flip just to make it interesting, and I'm just finishing that charm off by doing a double knot. I think I've even made a knot 3 or 4 times. I'm not even sure at this stage. I don't know why I left the string or the thread so long, but eventually I made it a bit short and it was easier to tie it off. This is a Tim Holtz washi tape. It's one of my favorites. I think it just goes really well with this junk journal that I've made and the feel that I'm going for. So I have been using it quite a lot in my past junk journal with me's, and just in general, I've been grabbing that washi. I've moved on to the next page now, and I know that I want to use this magazine clipping of the flower on the side, and I've got a few photos that I'm trying to see where I would like to place them. And at this stage, I don't have a clear plan what I want to do on this page, so I'm just going to play around, move a few things around and see where I would like it. If you've watched my previous junk journal with me, you would know that I've said the goal for this year is to see if I can use up most of my magazine clippings, or maybe not all of them. I think that is maybe too ambitious, but I'm going to try and use more of my magazine clippings. So I've been doing it in this junk journal with me, and I think there will be many more junk journal with me's during this year where I'll be trying to do that. So I have stuck in that flower and I'm coming back to this front page. I'm getting out a few things from the trip that I want to work in here. So I've got this brown paper, which is from a restaurant where we had some dinner. And then I've also got this newspaper print, and we went to a little shop that was selling fudge and coconut ice and all those yummy treats. So we got some coconut ice, and they wrapped the coconut ice in that newspaper print paper, and I really loved it. So the lady was so kind to gift me a whole sheet. So I've been cutting a few pieces off there, and I want to use some of it in this journal. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I've also got a few business cards on the side, and at this stage I'm not sure if I want to create a pocket and place them in there or staple it on the floral paper next to it. So I'm playing around and trying to see what I want to do, but I definitely know that I want to work in both of these papers. So after a lot of playing time and moving things around, I have decided to create a pocket here, and I want this newspaper print to overlap over to the next page, and that's just going to be a background. It's going to be decorative. It's not really going to serve a purpose, but it's part of my memory, so I always love including those things, and it's just creating an interesting background. Now with the brown paper, that's going to serve as my pocket, so I'm just going to use the glue dot roller to get some stickiness on there so we can create a pocket out of it. After placing in the business cards, I've noticed that it's going to fall out on the side of it. I first wanted to do it kind of a tuck spot, but that wasn't going to work. I think my business cards would have fallen out. So I've decided to rather turn it into a pocket by sticking down some glue on the side. And then later on, when that is dry, it will be a lovely pocket for the business cards to fit in. So I'm coming back to the photos, and I actually like how that photo looks there, but I know that I've got quite a lot to say, as usual, no surprise. So I know I need some writing space. So in the end, I've decided to use those two photos and add them back to back. And then I'm going to create a tip in over here, and hopefully that makes it a bit more interesting, and it also gives me some writing space. And I'm just adding some more washi tape. As I've said, I love that washi, and I'm just adding it to all the pages that I've got in my journal. It really fits well with this journal that I've also made. Both of them is really have that vintage feel to it, so it just works. I've also stuck in that little bird. It's from a Tim Holtz ephemera pack. And now I'm coming to this armband. We went to a food and wine festival, and these were the armbands that you had to wear to get into the festival. So I want to staple that to the page. I first tried this small stapler, but it wasn't really successful. It didn't go through properly, and I've decided to rather use a bigger stapler. I don't know what I was thinking. That small stapler would never go through all of those many layers, but luckily the big stapler did the trick. And I am just sticking in another ephemera piece. I think this is also from a Tim Holtz ephemera pack. I like that old photo and just how everything sits in there. So a few more bits and pieces to add to this page is this ephemera piece. I think it says Snap Happy. And then on the photo, I am just punching out a hole and I'm tying a little ephemera piece with some embroidery thread to the photo, and on there I'll be adding my date, and that's just another interactive element that I quite like. Now we're moving on to the last page that I'm planning on using. So I've got a few more photos left, and I want to use this floral piece from a Daphne's Diary. And this is the stage where I realized that my photo is wet. I had a glass of ice water next to me, and with all the condensation and my photos being so close to it, it started to get wet. So I've just moved it away, tried to dry off as much as I could, and I think the photo is still fine. It's not, you can see a few marks on there, but it's not damaged in a way that I can't use it. So I'm sticking with it, I'm not reprinting it. And what I'm planning with this floral pocket is to turn it into a side pocket for one of my photos to go into. But I very quickly realized that it's not going to fit in there. It's slightly too big, but the tape that I've used is very wide and I think I can still salvage this. So I'm trying to get that paper off my journal, and I luckily got it off without any damage. So I need to just cover up the glue, and it's always easy to just use some washi tape to do that. I'm making sure that the photo fits in, and instead of using the glue dot roller, I'm just using some wet glue, adding it to the sides and doing a very thin line just to ensure that my photo is going to fit in there. I'm also going to stick it more to the left hand side of the page, because I think having it more to the left is just going to balance everything out with the bigger photo that I want to stick over that. And there you can see at the back of that photo the water damage. It's just more on the right hand side of the photo. I don't think it's too bad. It did start lifting up on the side, but I'm going to just reinforce it with some glue, and then also later on stick some washi tape over it. And I'm also going to add a label. So I think with all of those things, the photo will survive and it will be all fine. The label that I'm sticking down is from a Tim Holtz sticker booklet, and I'm just going to use that to write my dates on. I'm also adding a second label over it. I'm adding my last photo in, and then I'm using another magazine clipping to just decorate the page and add some interest. I'm going back into that sticker booklet and I want to add another label. I love these labels. Some of them are quite small, but each one serves a purpose. So I've been using them quite a lot. I'm going back to some sticker sheets. I think this is a sheet from American Crafts, and I've just cut this slightly shorter. It's a transparent sticker, which I think will work really well with my photos. And I'm going to stick it over this dessert photo in a very awkward manner, but I eventually got there. And then just adding some washi over that photo like I've mentioned earlier on. And then basically this whole spread is done. I've done my journaling and this is the end result. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.